Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape, vinyl tape,
carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. And today I am always excited, but more so excited because I'm talking to a very dear friend of mine who was an idol while we were growing up. So let's welcome Rodney Allen Rippy to the show, brother. Welcome, brother Rodney.
Hey, I'm here, Kevin. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well, man. We're going to let this hand clapping die down for a second. But brother Rodney, how are you, man? You doing good?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm here in beautiful Southern California, and it's always great to connect, man. It's good to talk with you.
Yeah, so let's just get started. So we are in this relationship probably about 6 months through some other mutual contacts, and I didn't want to be a celebrity hawk and jump on you like, I know you, because I don't. So we're going to take this time to really talk about what's been going on and how your life has been up until this point. I know it's been a blessing, but when I first met you, or when I first came to know you, you were the guy, the innocent, handsome, cute guy on the Jack in the Box or Jack in the Box burger commercial, correct?
That is correct. That's where I got my start in entertainment.
And how old were you at that time?
I, believe it or not, was 3.5 years old.
What? Man, you look so mature. I'm thinking you're like 6 or 7 years old. So take us back, if you can, how that all came about.
Well, I mean, I was just a little boy growing up in Long Beach, California.
Yes.
I was just with a normal family. I mean, we were not from the entertainment industry.
Yes.
My mom was a Southern girl from North Carolina.
Okay.
And my dad, he was back from the East Coast out of Dayton, Ohio. And so we were just a normal family. And one day I was sitting in the living room and I'm watching the Little Rascals. And believe it or not, I was watching, just watching TV.
Yes.
And I'm laughing at Buckwheat. And so my mom comes in the room. And so she's like, what's so funny? And I point at the television. So she's like, oh, you're laughing at Buckwheat.
Yes.
And I'm like, yep. And my mom said, so what? You think you could do that? You wouldn't be afraid to be on TV? And I said, nope.
Wow.
And my mom said, really? Wait a minute. Seriously, you wouldn't be afraid of the cameras and the lights and all those people? I'm like, nope. So my mom, being industrious the way she was, she grabs the yellow pages.
Yes.
And literally starts flipping through the yellow pages. And in 1972, there were talent agents and managers.
Yes.
And, dance teachers and things like that. And
wow.
And it turns out that my mom starts making phone calls, and before you know it, she has me, my brother and sister, we were all signed up with a agent
Wow, just
in
that
Los
quick.
Angeles.
Wow.
Just that quick.
Sight
And-
unseen?
Well, no. We had a few little trial and errors. I mean, literally,
Okay.
my mom got me an agent. The first agent was a scam guy. Sad to say, we got signed with this guy, and my mom found him in the Yellow Pages, literally.
Okay.
And we went up to go meet him, and he was a fast talker, and he was in Hollywood. He was like, "Oh, wow, he's a cute kid. Oh, sure, yeah, I'll sign him up. No problem. That'll be $500." And my mom said, "Whoa, $500? What is all that for?" And he goes, "Oh, wow. Well, we've got to take pictures of him, and we've got to put him in acting classes. And you listen, if you want your kid to be a star, you're going to have to pay for it." So my mom goes, "Wow, I feel bad." And the guy goes, "Why?" My mom says, "Well, Rodney has a brother and sister who are really cute, and I think they would be perfect." And he goes, "Well, if they're anything like him, it's $1,500. And my mom goes, "Wait a minute. Don't you need to see him?" And the guy's comment was, "If they're anything like him, I'll take them."
Wow.
And so my mom comes home that night, and over dinner, she tells my dad, "Fred, I took Rodney up there to meet this agent, and he liked Rodney so much, he didn't even need to see Beverly and Kenneth. He signed them too." And my dad's like, "Well, what's the catch?" "Well, it's $1,500. And I remind you, this is 1972.
Yes.
And my dad said, $1,500? What is that for? And she says, "Well, Fred, has got to be pictures, and they got to take acting classes." And my dad said, "Well, this is your idea. If you think that this is going to work, and this is your idea," he goes, "you know where the money's at. Go to the bank, take the money out."
Wow.
And my mom was so happy.
Yes.
Oh, she was so happy. So next day, Mom and I, we go over to, gosh, what is it? Home Savings and Loan Bank in Long Beach.
Yes.
They're not even around anymore. Home Savings and Loans, right? And so Mom takes out the money, gets a cashier's check. We go back up the freeway from Long Beach back to Hollywood, back to this guy's office. Mom gives him a check, and the guy was like, "Okay, great. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay, yeah, probably next week we're gonna start. We're gonna get his pictures done, and we'll start classes right away." My mom's like, "Okay, well, give us a call." And okay, so we leave.
Yes.
And so we go home, and a week goes by.
Yes.
And no call.
Yes.
And my mom is like, and so I'm a little kid, I'm still sitting in the living room playing, watching TV, and my mom looks at me with this look. I'll never forget it. She was concerned.
Yes.
And Mama said, "Rodney, I don't feel right. It's been a week. We need to go up there and check on that man."
Yes.
And I was like, "Okay, you want to go?" Mom goes, "Let's go." So we go and jump in the car and we take off. Back up the freeway, back up to Hollywood. So Mom shows up to this guy's office and goes to knock on his door. No answer.
Wow.
Mom's knocking on the door, no answer. And Mom looks to our left, and down the hallway was like 3 or 4 other sets of parents and kids.
Yes.
And apparently he had told them all the same story.
Wow.
So we're all standing there, and these people are waving, trying to get my mom's attention.
Yes.
And they're pointing at the door like, "Is there anybody in there?"
Yes.
And my mom keeps looking, and she throws her hands up like, "What? What?" And they're pointing at the door like, "Is anybody in there?" So my mom walks down the hallway, and she goes, "What's going on?" And and this lady says, I think that man took our money." And she goes, "Was that an agent?" And my mom goes, "Yeah, we gave him money too." And they all gasped. And my mom was like, "Oh no."
Wow.
So Mama says to the people, "Calm down. I'll be right back."
Yes.
So Mama goes down to the leasing office, to the building leasing office, and says, "Excuse me, is there anybody in room? I forgot what it was, 430. And the guy goes, I don't think so. So he comes up with the key with my mom. And then when the people see my mom and the manager coming down the hallway, they come trotting down the hallway. And when he opens the door, the dude's gone.
Wow.
So he had taken my parents' $1,500 and probably few thousands of dollars from all these other parents. So everybody gasps and everybody freaks out. And so mom's like, oh no.
Well,
so
Rodney, let me stop you for a second, because is that the current way agents work now?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to make sure. So usually it's them taking the investment in you, them putting up some upfront money, and they get that back through the contract, right? That they may sign 10%, 5%.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it wasn't even right for that day and time. It was wrong. It was just that, see, even in life, till this very day, 2022,
yes,
that's how crooks are. Crooks blend in with good people.
Very
they
true.
do the same thing. And I told this guy one time, I ran across this crook in the middle of some business, and I said, you know, people spend so much time trying to look legit. If they were legit, they'd be successful.
Yes, sir. Yes,
period.
Sir.
Just as back to the story. So what ends up happening, my mom, everybody freaks out. So they call the police.
Yes.
And a police shows up to the building in Hollywood. And I remind you, this is 1972. It's almost like Dragnet, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And if you guys remember the old TV show, Dragnet.
Oh, so yes.
This officer shows up from the Hollywood division, but he has knowledge of the entertainment industry. So he tells everybody, okay, parents, listen. First of all, do not trust anybody, any agents that you see online, or not online, but in these magazines or on post bills anywhere, because they must be SAG regulated. And they're like, what is SAG?
Wow, gotcha.
And everybody, and that's Screen Actors Guild.
Yes.
And he goes, these agents must be registered as, you know, legit agents, and you should only go with SAG regulated agents.
Wow.
And so none of us knew.
Yes.
So everybody was like, oh my gosh. And he hands every parent a list of agents that were all cleared through SAG.
Yes.
And so now we have a list. And so all those parents go in different directions. So mom drives home and she's panicked. And she's like, oh my God, I got to tell Fred.
Yes.
So mom cooks another dinner, fantastic dinner. And she says, Fred, I got some bad news. And my dad's like, what? And he looks at it, he goes, don't tell me that man took the money. And she goes, Fred, that's what happened. I knew it. I knew we shouldn't have done that. Oh my God, that was $1,500. You know. And my mom was like, well, Fred, look, I got this list of agents, and all we have to do is find a SAG agent. And my dad was like, SAG, bag, I don't care what it is. We done. We ain't doing nothing else.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it cost me $1,500 for this mess. And my mom's like, oh, come on, Fred. So she's like, look, I'm going to call an agent. And if it doesn't cost anything like this officer said, that's what we'll try. And my dad said, well, look, if it don't cost no more money, we'll try it.
Yes.
So my mom was like, okay. So my mom starts calling this list. And she called the first one on the list, and it was a lady by the name of Dorothy Day Otis.
Yes.
And Dorothy was the top child actor agent in Hollywood at that time.
Wow.
And so mom calls and says, listen, first, let me get this straight. This ain't going to cost me anything, is it? And the lady says, well, it depends on what you're doing, but no, I don't charge for signing people up.
Yes.
And so my mom proceeded to tell her the story, and she goes, oh, no. That was a criminal. That was a crook. You don't do that. And my mom said, first of all, I want to meet your son And my mom says, well, he has brothers and sisters. And Dorothy said, well, do you want them involved with this too? And my mom said, yes. He says, well, I must meet all of them.
Yes.
So me, my brother and sister, we all went up, met Dorothy. And so she was like, oh, wow, darling family. You know what? Maybe I could work all of you as a family, like, you know, two brothers and a sister, you know?
Yes.
So she was very, very creative, very, very just, I mean, she's a pro. I mean, she was number one. So
yes.
Turns out she signed me, my brother and sister up, and my sister went out first on an audition. And so she landed a commercial for Banquet's fried chicken. Remember the frozen chicken in the freezer at the grocery store?
Yes.
So my sister did a commercial for them. My brother, he went out for an audition for the old Coca-Cola commercial. And, you know, the very famous, I like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Yes.
And so he went out for that big audition. And I was just a baby of the bunch. I'm the youngest. And so I was feeling kind of bummed out. And then the phone rang one day, and it was my agent, and it was an audition for Jack in the Box, the fast food chain.
Wow.
And so at the time, Jack in the Box was in foreclosure. They were in bad straits. I mean, they were in deep trouble. They were on their way out, and they had just enough money to do this last ditch effort.
Wow.
To try to turn the company around.
Yes.
And they said, we want a little boy, a girl, a mascot. We don't care. We need something to pull us out of this.
Yes.
So I got called in on this audition. There were there was 100 kids called in.
Yes.
So what ended up happening was I go to this audition, my very first one. My parents, we did not have any acting ability, none, no classes, because Dorothy hadn't signed us up for these frivolous acting classes. She just wanted to see what we would do naturally.
Yes.
And my sister, you know, it seemed like we all had something natural. So I go in for this Jack in the Box audition, and we're sitting there in the lobby, and my mom's looking around, and so she's like, wow, man, Rodney, your very first audition, and you got all these kids you got to go up against. And so I'm 3.5 years old.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there, and my mom's like, well, just do your best, baby. So my mom is sitting there and like she's thinking. And she's thinking and thinking. And so finally she says, Rodney, I smell food. I think they're going to give you some food.
Yes.
Can you smell it? I'm like, yeah, I smell it. She goes, okay. Whatever they put in front of you, don't touch it until they tell you to.
Okay.
And don't put your elbows on the table. And so she starts, and my mom is literally whispering this in my ear.
She's coaching you.
So
yes.
She's only coaching me.
Yes.
And so she said, and remember, baby, don't talk with your mouth full. Remember that. You remember what I taught you? You don't eat with your mouth full? I'm like, yeah, Mom, I got it. So she said, okay. So soon they call me in, and I walk to the door, and my mom looks at me, and she bends down on one knee, and she looks at me, and she says, Rodney, baby, I can't go with you. You're going to have to do this.
Wow.
You got to go in all by yourself.
So there's no parent, no agent, no, just you.
That's it. Oh, no, you can't. They do not allow parents to go into the audition room.
Wow.
No. And so that is the test, because if a child can go in and hold it together, if they don't panic, if they are confident,
yes,
and they know why they're there,
yes,
that's the difference between people who make it and people who don't.
Got you.
And so even as an adult, when you go in for an audition, you go in and it really, and here's the real crazy thing. I'm going to back up. Which I'll tap in on. A lot of people don't know, when you're sitting in a audition room for a movie, commercial, or whatever, it's game time.
Yes.
And when you're sitting there in the audition room, and this is as adults, and it's like a game. people love to talk to you and keep you distracted. Hey, man, how you doing? I hadn't seen you in a while. Hey, man, you been out on many auditions? Oh, yeah, man, I just landed a national, man. Oh, yeah, man. And you hear this guy or woman talking like that.
Yes.
And they're just trying to shake up your confidence.
Yes.
And they're trying to keep you busy and just all the way until the time they call you. And you want to get into character. You want to have your game and your plan together before you go in.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's a distracting thing. But getting back to the story, I walk into this room, and sure enough, it was just a guy sitting there with a little 8mm camera on a tripod, and there was a table. But in this room, down at the end of the room was this lady, and she's grilling up hamburgers for every kid. She had fresh tomatoes, she had lettuce, she had plastic gloves on,
yes.
and she's making every kid their own hamburger. And there was like a 50-gallon trash can sitting there. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, huh. So the guy tells me to sit down, and I sit down behind this white table.
Yes.
And soon this lady slides this big, gigantic hamburger in front of me.
Yes.
And I was like, Mom is right. I got this big old burger. And I'm thinking like, or maybe they're just going to tease me with it. So I'm like, don't touch it, Rod.
Uh-huh.
Don't touch it. And I mean, I was sitting there going, oh, gosh, I want to jump on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually what happens, the guy turns the camera on and he says to me, hey, haven't I seen you on TV before? And I said, yeah. Lying. It was not true. He had never seen me on TV before, but
yes.
he asked me, he goes, have I seen you on TV before? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, what's your name? And I said, Rodney. He goes, Rodney what? I said, Rodney Allen Rippy. He goes, what's that in front of you? I said, the Jumbo Jack from Jack in the Box. And he said, do you think you could get a bite out of it? And I looked at the burger. I said, it's too big to eat. He said, well, pick it up and take a bite. And I said, oh, boy. He gave me the cue. He said, take a bite. So I picked this burger up, and I took a huge bite.
Yes.
And I put the burger down, and he said, well, tell me how you like it. And I thought what my mom said, and I just pointed to my mouth. I said, I can't talk. My mouth's full. And he started laughing.
Wow.
And the guy cracked up laughing. And he said, oh, you can go. That's it. You can go. Beautiful. You can go. So I opened the door, and right outside the door is my mom, and she sees this guy laugh and roll off the couch on his knees, dying laughing.
Wow.
And my mom sees this guy roll off the couch laughing, and I'm chewing, and my mom's like, oh my God, why is this guy laughing? What
Yes.
did you do?
Yes.
And my mom was like, Rodney, let's go. So my mom grabs me by the hand. We just calmly walk out, across the room and out the door and around the building. And my mom goes, what happened? Why was that guy laughing at you like that? And I'm still chewing because I took such a huge bite. And my mom is like, boy, will you swallow? Talk to me. What happened? What happened? And I finally finished, get the food down. I'm like, Mom, he gave me a burger. You were right. He told me to take a bite out of it. I took a bite out of it, and he thought it was funny.
Wow.
And my mom said, wait a minute. You took a bite of the hamburger, and he started laughing? I said, yeah. And my mom was like, okay, baby, let's go. Let's go. And my mom was like, this boy just bombed. So all the way down the freeway,
Yes.
I'm sitting in the back of the car, and my mom keeps looking in the rearview mirror at me.
Yes.
And she was just quiet, because she felt like the man laughed me out of the place.
Got you.
And my mom keeps asking me, Rodney, was it a good laugh or a bad laugh? And I said, I don't know, Mama, he just laughed. And my mom was like, she had this sad look on her face, and she was like, man, they laughed at my poor baby.
Yes.
So we get home it's from LA back to our house is probably about 35 minutes.
Okay.
So we get home, and my mom is like, I look at my mom, I said, can I go outside and play? And Mom's like, yeah, Rodney, go outside and play. And about that time, about an hour goes by and the phone rings. It's my agent, Dorothy.
Yes.
And Dorothy said, Flossie, they love him. Oh, they love Rodney. You got to take him back tomorrow. There's a callback, and they're cutting the field to 50, and Rodney's going in number 1.
Wow.
And my mom said, wait a minute. The man laughed him out. I seen the man laughing at Rodney when Rodney, she goes, my agent said, Flossie, whatever he did, they love him. Take him back tomorrow. Same time, everything. So my mom is like, this is crazy. So we go back up the freeway again. Sure enough, we get there. My name's already signed on the list.
Wow.
Number 1.
Number 1.
And so, number 1. So they call me in. I remind you, there's 49 other people sitting outside.
Yes.
So, or other kids. So I walk in, and there were even more people this time. Mom is outside.
Yes.
There's even more people. There's 3 or 4 people, and they said, hey, Rodney, how you doing? And I was like, man, it's like these people got a party going on here. Homegirl, she's over there. And he goes, hey, look what we got. And they slammed another burger down. And I was like, that's for me? They said, yep, that's yours. I'm like, can I have it? They're like, yeah, you can have it. So I sit down, and I take a huge bite, and they all die laughing.
Wow.
So they all crack up laughing again. So this time, the guy walks over, opens the door, and says, Miss Rippy, are you out here, Miss Rippy? And my mom is like, oh, my God, what has Rodney done now that they're going to call me in the room?
Yes.
So my mom comes in, and she's got those mama eyes looking at me like, boy, what have you done that these people got to come get me? And the guy brings my mom in and shuts the door, and he goes, Miss Rippy, he's our guy. And my mom goes, what's going on? And they go, no, we made our decision. He is our guy.
Wow.
And my mom goes, wait a minute. What about these other people sitting outside? He goes, oh, no, Miss Rippy, we know what we're doing. We know exactly. And the guy goes to the door, opens the door, and goes, excuse me, everybody. We're really sorry. We're closing casting now. Thank you for coming in. Thank you so much for coming.
Wow. Just that
and
cold.
Everybody was like cold-blooded, just like that.
Yes.
It was all over. And so my mom goes, wait a minute. Is that fair? What about those people? She goes, no, Miss Rippy. We know what we want. Rodney's our guy. So at that point, Mama looks at me with this like blank look on her face, like, what just happened?
Yes.
And so from that day on, it was on. The Jack in the Box, humongous campaign started to roll out. We did a series of commercials. And let me go back. If you were to go to YouTube right now,
yes,
and you type in my name, Rodney Allen Rippy,
yes,
and you put Jumbo Jack right behind it,
yes,
you will see the audition that they turned into my very first commercial. They didn't even bother shooting another commercial. They took my audition tape
wow,
and made it the first commercial because
wow,
it went so perfect.
Wow.
So it was a natural thing. It was like lightning in a bottle. Nobody knew it was going to happen. I didn't. My agent didn't. My mom and dad, nobody knew. And so from that moment on, the Jack in the Box campaign rolled out, and it became one of the biggest commercial campaigns. We had Jack in the Box. They did a commercial contest. There were so many things that came from that campaign.
Wow.
I mean, it was so beautiful. Then, of course, Mattel Toy produced a doll in my image. There was so many things that just came from out of nowhere. I mean, it literally came from out of nowhere. And we went on then of course the television television shows started, like
yes,
$6 Million Man and Police Story and Dr. Welby MD and The
yes,
Odd Couple, and then different other things and television.
Let me stop you for a second. So when these shows that are on TV, so they're calling you through your agent now.
Oh yeah, by that point, after the Jack in the Box campaign rolled out, my name, my image was so hot
yes,
that every television show just wanted me on.
Wow.
So
Now, were they sending you scripts when you went on like the $6 Million Man, Dr.
Oh,
Welby?
that was just a phone call. It was just a phone call. They were like, hey, they want Rodney on this episode.
Wow.
Rodney's going to play this character. Bring him in. That was it.
Wow.
And matter of fact, in Hollywood, that is the best position to be in. That's what you call going straight or going straight to producers.
Yes.
You have just bypassed the whole audition process.
Okay. Now let me ask you some financial questions now, right?
Sure.
Now that the campaign is looming large, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the final take of your agent? Is it 5%? Is it 10%?
You know, at the time, the agents were normally getting 10%.
Okay.
And now there's various ways of kind of skinning the cat, because now agents, back when I was doing things, you know, when I was a kid, agents did it all. They were your agent. They were your PR. They were out pounding the pavement. I hate to say it, nowadays, agents are very, very reluctant to go doing any extra work beyond just being your agent. It's kind of crazy.
Gotcha.
Because if you want any extra push, you will pay a publicist anywhere between probably $3,500 to $7,000 a month or beyond.
Wow.
It could be even beyond that. And that publicist is the one that's doing all this legwork, and they're trying to get you into award shows, and they're trying to pump you, and they're trying to pitch you for endorsement deals and
Yes.
speaking engagements and appearances. And so the agent is just almost like an order taker.
Yes. The agent is serving as like the team quarterback, the team coordinator, correct?
Correct. Your agent, they are the ones who kind of pretty much handle your contracts. They just want to make sure that you're being taken care of and that they are putting you out at an advantageous position
Yes.
to negotiate and get you the most possible for your time.
Yes.
And your image or voice or whatever.
But so let me so
Mhm.
let me stop you, Rodney. So you've got the national campaign going on, right?
Yeah.
What was the total value of the national campaign? How much money was, and you may not know this, but how much money at that time was Jack in the Box putting behind this national campaign?
Well, here's the thing. The campaign was such a machine that, you know, it was really, really, it was good. And
Yes.
but see, let's look in hindsight. Let's go back 1972. Look at professional athletes. Look at music contracts.
Yes.
Look at television deals. No one was getting the astronomical amount of money then, you know,
Got you.
what they are now. There were no sport contracts that were $1 million. There
Yes.
were none. You
Got
know,
you. Yeah.
and so the money that it made was, you know, it was good for that time. I mean, you're
Yes.
talking about several hundreds of thousands of dollars that I earned over time when I was a kid. And it, you know, and so that's why Screen Actors Guild made it so that they had to have what they call the Coogan Law. And they wanted kids to make sure that their parents were not getting inside of the money. And so that
Now
this
say,
money
now say,
would be
now
set
say the
aside.
law again. It's called the Coogan Law?
Yeah, well, they call it the Coogan Act.
The Coogan Act.
And yeah, and this was when there was, I think this thing goes back sadly to like Shirley Temple.
Okay.
When Shirley Temple made her money when she was a little girl, and, you know, people, their parents and, you know, unscrupulous agents and people get into these kids' money. People, you know, it's like letting the fox in the chicken coop. You don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So they made it so that they have to have child actors have to have a trust account. So that money has to go into a trust account.
Got you.
And it is supposed to be there for that child, you know, when
And so when can you touch it? What, 18, 21?
18.
Okay.
And so,
And then once the actor turns 18, then he or she can decide how much they want to give to their parents.
yes, and it becomes a thing that's why it's a crazy world, because
Yes.
technically the parents are supposed to love you and take care of you and leave your money alone.
Yeah.
It ain't, if they didn't make it, you did. And, But again, some parents, and see, that's what kind of happened with some other child actors, that parents started getting into the money. And you just seen recently that huge turnaround with Britney Spears and her father.
Absolutely.
And how
yes.
he was trying to manage her money. And I mean, it's crazy. And so thank goodness that, she was able to get out from under that kind of situation. But thank God I had parents who loved me and cared about me. And my dad was a self-made man. I mean, my dad made his own money. He did his own thing. He owned his own trucking company.
Okay.
I am at my age at 53. I am still trying to chase my father's accomplishments, because I'm just still blown away and amazed at what he was able to do on his own. It had nothing to do with me. So the thing about it is, you just want to make sure that, if your child is involved in entertainment, sports, or anything else, you want to make sure that they are taken care of for the future. And thank goodness that's what happened. So my money was set aside for me. My college was already had been paid. So once I graduated high school, I made that move out to California. When I was doing all of this stuff, I was living in Southern California. And so when I got to be, I believe I was like around 11 years old, my parents decided to move to North Carolina.
Okay.
And so as a family decision, we all moved to North Carolina.
Yes.
And I essentially left the entertainment industry from Hollywood's perspective. But when I got to North Carolina, believe it or not, I did a couple commercials and did some things there and a couple television shows. So it continued, but it was just, I was outside of the hotbed of Hollywood.
Yeah. Now let me ask this question, because you said something that was quite interesting, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of parents, believe it or not, unfortunately, when they think that their kids have a little bit of talent, they push their kids so hard, whether it be entertainment, whether it be sports, hoping that this kid is going to remember them when they make it big, if they have a chance to make it big. How do you feel about that? What kind of relationship is going on with the child, the parent at that time, where the parent feels like they can weigh heavily on their child to say, listen, when you make your million being a basketball player or a football player, I want this house, I want this car, I want this type of allowance. And how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I would say that if you were blessed to have parents, and you can never forget, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Now, that's one point. The next point is, how did they treat you? Did they put you in this situation because they saw you as a cash cow, or was it out of genuine love, or was it just out of push? Well, I was fortunate enough that my mom and dad, it was nothing in it for them. They were just amused at seeing, me and my brother and sister all signed up. But matter of fact, I got to back up to one point. After my sister had worked on her commercial, she was the first one to land a commercial.
Yes.
My brother had a couple auditions. I landed this big Jack in the Box campaign. It's rolling. We're in it. My mom sat us all down and said to my brother and sister, how do you like it? Are you enjoying yourself? And my brother and sister did not.
Oh, wow.
They said, we don't like it.
Got you.
We don't know how to tell you. We didn't know how to tell you, but we don't like it. All the lights and the camera and the makeup, we don't like it. And so my mom looks at me, again at roughly 4 years old, 3.5, 4 years old, and says, okay, Rodney, okay, I know you got this commercial, this thing is doing what it's supposed to do, but if you don't want to do this, you just tell me. I don't care. I'm not going to push you to do nothing. She goes, I don't have to be driving up and down the freeway and taking you to these auditions.
Yes.
She said, it's entirely up to you. So my mom literally gave me the opportunity to conduct my career at 4 years old.
Wow. Wow.
And she gave me my choice. She said, if you don't want to do it, tell me now and we can wrap this up. And I said, no, Mom, I love it. Getting burgers. So my mom was like, okay, Rodney, you and your hamburgers. And I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, I love this.
Okay.
So my mom said, okay. So she told my brother and sisters, say, listen, we do have your headshot. You do have Dorothy as an agent. If you change your mind, let me know.
Yes.
And then we can start, I'll let Dorothy know, and we can start taking you back out to auditions. In the meantime, my machine was in high gear. I mean, that's when the commercial campaign spun off. And then I'd end up doing the Harlem Globetrotters popcorn machine. That was a Saturday morning special with the Harlem Globetrotters. And then I started doing, as I said, all the TV shows from $6 Million Man and Police Story and Dr. Welby MD and all these other wonderful, wonderful things. And it was just one thing after another. And I had so many opportunities that it was never a dull moment. And then I had an opportunity to record an album called Take Life a Little Easier.
Now you're singing?
And I sang at the age of 5, a whole album of music. And funny, the title track song, Take Life a Little Easier, somehow got onto the Billboard Charts. And I hold the record as the youngest person to ever chart on Billboard.
Even to 2022 now?
Till 2022.
What?
How you like that?
That's all right. So I'm going to say congratulations, man. That's all right. Wow. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
So because I remember, as you know, I live on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we had a Jack in the Box, and I remember after your commercial, man, we just thought you were the cutest thing going, and we had to have a Jack in the Box burger. And at that time, you were up against the big boys, which was McDonald's, because I don't even think we had a Burger King in this area. You were up against the big boys, McDonald's. But once we saw your face, it was like, oh my God, we've got to try one of these burgers. And I remember one of your commercials where you had the Whopper, or not the Whopper, I'm sorry, you had the Jack in the Box burger in your hand, the Jumbo Jack. And you could not get your hands around that thing. And we thought that was just the cutest thing going, man. You were ahead of the time, or ahead of the curve than Webster, right?
Well, believe it or not, as an honor, I'm very honored to say this.
Yeah.
That commercial campaign, when it rolled out, that kind of spawned the career of Gary Coleman. And then after Gary Coleman came Webster.
Wow.
And so the little kids in that image.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it happened, and it just kept rolling from there.
So you are probably to be credited with changing or creating that cute boy image industry, right?
Well, I mean, then that's where it all got started.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I continue to work, and like I said, doing some of these different favorite episodics like Police Story.
Yes.
In Vegas, I did Vegas with Robert Urich. And, oh man, we had so many great times that it was never a dull moment, seriously.
Gotcha.
And so after that, man, it just, the different shows, and then the movie started, because I did a movie with Mel Brooks, the famous, incredible comedy Blazing Saddles with the
time out.
genie.
You were in Blazing Saddles?
Yes, sir. I was in Blazing Saddles. Yep.
I've got to go back and watch that, man, because I love that show. I don't even recall you in that, man.
Remember, okay, I'll tell you where it's at. I hate to be the spoiler.
No, please.
Remember when Cleavon Little had captured Gene Wilder?
Yes.
And he had him in jail, and he was talking to him. He said, "So tell me about you, man. Tell me about your life." And he said, "Well, you go first." And he goes, No, you go first. And so Gene told Cleavon, Sheriff Bart to go ahead, you go first. He says, "Well, way back in Western times when my family were crossing the the wagon train,
yes,
all these Indians surrounded my family." And he goes into this big old dramatic thing. Well, that scene where all the Indians surrounded all the wagon trains,
yes,
there was a black family at the end of the wagon train, and the Indians only surrounded the black family. They didn't mess with nobody else. They just surrounded the black family. And so I was the little kid sitting there in the covered wagon.
Wow. I got to go back and watch that again.
So, and again, that was the genius of Mel Brooks.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know, in the real movie, Mel Brooks wanted me in every scene.
Wow.
So, like, the movie, if you watch the movie, technically, I was supposed to be in every single scene. Like, who is this little black kid? Where is his parents? That was the point that he wanted to make. Like, there was some little black kid just by himself, just wandering.
Yeah.
Just all by himself. Mel Brooks is crazy, man.
He's a genius.
Yes. He's a genius, man.
Yes.
And the things that he said and did with that movie. And so a lot of people don't realize that how legendary that movie was. And so, matter of fact, a few years back, I was at a Grammy Award event, and Mel Brooks was there, and I had the pleasure to speak to him. And I told him, I wish he would do Blazing Saddles too, because I want to play Sheriff Bart's role.
Okay.
And he says, "Oh no, Rodney, we could never make that." He said, "They had burned the movie theater down." I said, "Man, let them burn it, Jack." I said, "If I could work with Mel Brooks, I would stand shoulder to shoulder with him, because it's only comedy." I don't know why, listen, I told Mel, I said, "Mel, I know how to do this." I said,
Yes.
All you have to do is put a disclaimer at the top of the, sit down, take a 2-minute clip and say, "Hey, it's Mel Brooks. I'm the director of the film. Now, you know me. I've done Young Frankenstein," and you can just start scrolling the movie, like a screen behind him.
Yeah.
And say, "I'm a comedian. I want to make people laugh. So I'm going to tell you right now, this movie is going to be funny. Some people might say some of the stuff I'm doing is crazy. Some of it might be touchy. If you feel that it's going to hurt your little feelings, please get up now and go get a refund. I love you. You're going to miss a great movie. I'm telling you."
But Rodney, listen. Rodney,
Yeah.
I feel you on that one. And that's one of the arguments the comedians today are having, that we have become so sensitive that you can't even crack a joke without being politically correct. And so comedians are saying,
Right.
Listen, we don't subscribe to being politically correct because we are comedians. We see life differently. But
it's not even that they see life differently. They are taking the absurdity
yes.
of life,
Okay.
and racism and stupid folk and crazy stuff and politics, and they're trying to find some little gleamer, just something to make you laugh and figure out how crazy this really is, because we need to be loving one another.
Yeah.
We need to be supporting one another. We need to be encouraging one another. And listen, I feel comedians, and I've done some stand-up, and let me tell you something. I don't think there's many things harder than being a comedian.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because let me tell you, I had to go up at one of the major houses here.
Yes.
The comedy at the Comedy Store.
Yes.
And this professional was there, and he told me, he says, "Rodney, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. If you're getting into the game," he said, "stay off of other people's material."
Gotcha.
He said, because if you start cracking somebody's jokes, he goes, somebody in the audience will finish your joke for you.
Got you.
And then you're in trouble.
Got you. But
and so I'm like, what? And I mean, to get that type of professional advice,
mm-hmm.
and then the dude told me, and you better be on guard, because if somebody starts heckling, you got to shut them down.
Yes.
Because you can't let them rattle you.
Yeah.
People have no clue.
But Rodney, let me ask this question though, and because it's on my mind. How do you make that transition, right? And were you scared to make that transition? Because here you are, the cute, handsome guy. Now you are the older guy, the older young man, perhaps using some profanity, some off-colored jokes. How do they make that? How do they make that transition in terms of who you are? Do people still accept you and have that separation or compartmentalize you?
You know, honestly, the funny thing is I do clean comedy.
Okay.
I do clean comedy. I don't curse and swear and do all that other stuff.
Okay.
Simply because it wouldn't work with my image. And,
Understood.
And I never have went down that road.
Got you.
And so I always keep that, you know, I have to keep everything 100. To be honest about it, it ain't good. It ain't really nice. Listen, I hear other comedians, some of the stuff will make you giggle because just how they put it together. That's not my world, because if I started doing that, people go, has Rodney lost his mind?
Yeah.
What has happened to him?
Yeah.
You know, but the funny thing is those guys who are out there, and like I said, I love Dave Chappelle. I love Cat Williams. I love these dudes because they're funny, you know, and I'm like, and how they put the nonsense that's in their head and how it comes out, it's just, man, sometimes you have to watch these guys and just go, man, these guys are crazy. But it's entertainment.
Yes.
Look at our world. If you can't laugh now, if you can't laugh at yourself, and if you can't laugh at the things that some people go through or whatever, that's what keeps you alive. And frankly, and do I agree with bullying? No. I don't agree with bullying or picking on anybody. But the reality of it is, you got to know, if you pay your money, $25, $45, $100, whatever you pay to go see a comedian, don't you dare say anything, because now that's their job.
Yes.
That's like somebody coming to you on your job telling you what to do and restricting you from making a paycheck. That's not right.
Yes. Got you. But,
you know, that's just, and you have to understand there's going to be dramatic actors. There are going to be comedians. There are going to be, you know, music videos. You have to understand, if you turn on an electronic device, I don't care if you're listening to it, if you're watching it, that mess ain't real.
Yeah.
What is real is what you feel and what you do every day. And just because you hear something or see something, that is not a green light to go and do it.
Understood.
You just don't. I mean, pure common sense. You don't adapt to things that are not real. You know, it's made up, it's artificial, it's produced content, it's produced in a studio, it's produced for television, it's produced for movies. So anything I see, I know the mess is fake. So I'm like, why am I gonna start trying to act like, you know, Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, but some of our folks can't separate, you know, acting or entertainment from their own personal reality. But I want to move in this direction. So where are you now in this whole entrepreneurial endeavor, entertainment industry? Where are you now?
I am actually making my move as a producer, director.
Okay.
I'm actually co-executive producer of the Country Soul Music Awards that's coming up sometime this year.
Okay.
I'm working on, you know, I own my own marketing PR company, Rip Marketing Group.
Yes.
I currently own a radio network right now that's streaming classical, beautiful music, all instrumental, 24 hours a day on KJBM radio. And these are things, side businesses, side things. I mean, I took my college education. I did end up going to college. I got my degree in marketing and advertising. So I started my own marketing company. I started my own production company. So I've shot a couple music videos.
Yes.
I've been on red carpets. I've worked with people producing different things. And now my goal is to, as life goes on, produce content. And I'm looking at putting some pretty fun things together. I'm actually looking to finish up my autobiography, hopefully this year.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, sir. I'm working on my autobiography. I'm also working to put together a script for a feature film that I want to direct called The Leather Mechanic. And it's a story about a guy. It's his life story named David Vanderveer Burnett. David was the fashion behind the music. So all that leather work that you've seen from Jimi Hendrix and Shaka Khan, and
yes.
remember the album covers with the Isley Brothers, and everybody's wearing leather with that fringe work.
Yes,
that was my friend's design. He designed a lot of stuff like that.
Wow.
And he literally handled the outfits for a lot of these huge stars. And so his life is pretty interesting because he was around all these people. He hung out with Shaka Khan. He hung out with Rick James. He hung out. And he's telling me funny stories about stuff that happened. I was like, you're kidding me.
Yes.
He's like, no, that was real. I was like,
wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Now, personal question. You think we can get them on the podcast here and you and I can co-host that episode, man?
Oh, of course. Yeah. If you would like to, David's the type of guy that he is a guy that loves to tell a story. And the funny thing was, he was also a unofficial member of the Ohio Players.
Wow. I remember the Ohio Players, yes.
Yeah, so he was running around with the guy Sugarfoot and all these other people that were the original guys from the Ohio Players. So I know stories that probably half the world don't know anything about.
Wow. So you are living your best life now, man, right?
I am indeed. And, it's just that I'm very thankful and thank God that I'm still here. I don't take anything lightly. Yeah. I don't take, when I meet people, I don't take people like you to take the time to say, hey, Rodney, I care enough to want to interview you and be on my show. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share. And I don't take none of this for granted. None of it. That. And I'm thankful to be healthy.
Absolutely.
I'm thankful to have a sound mind. And a lot of times, life whoops up on people.
Absolutely.
Life will whoop up on you, but you got to keep your dukes up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah. And I'm determined. I am determined to get through this life successfully and not jack myself up or be jacked up by somebody else or things and stuff like that. And again, we as people have to think.
Yes.
And you have to look at everything, and you have to thank your lucky stars for the good things that happen. A lot of times I try to say to myself, what is going right? What happened right today, right?
Yes.
And then you start to assess what could have went wrong.
Got you.
And so I try to come from a position of sincere thankfulness every day.
Yes.
And when I meet people, wherever I go, I keep it 100. I'm very serious about that. And I try not to rain on anyone else's parade. I have people come to me all the time. They call me and email me, and they want me to consult them about their career and things like that. And I'm like, listen, I can help you to this point, but I'm not going to start guessing. I'm like, listen, at this point, you need to call so-and-so because I think they could help you more than me. I don't want to have your career in my hands. And, it's because I wouldn't want anybody guessing on my career.
So let's step back for a second. So if anyone is interested in moving into this industry, what advice would you give a parent? What advice would you give a young starlet in terms of how to maneuver in this industry?
Parent advice would be watch your child.
Yes.
Figure out what they do naturally. Figure out, are they funny? Are they dramatic? Do you have a kid that's always like wanting to, get in the costume and become these funny little personalities or whatever it is, figure out if that child is really doing it. A parent's position is just to guide.
Yes.
I don't think a parent should say, you know what, honey, you're so cute, I'm putting you in a pageant.
Yeah.
You just test it. You kind of test the waters. And if the child enjoys it, that's fantastic. If it's sports,
Yes.
you go and support them. The whole dream is, why worry about your son running up down the field? Heck, you need to be thinking about him owning the team.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to it. Yeah, when you get into sports, look at the sports, but there's the business behind it. Even with me in entertainment,
yes,
a lot of people don't understand the money is behind the camera.
Yes.
The money is not even on camera, even behind the camera. It's in an office somewhere.
Yeah.
Where somebody's structuring the deals. That's where the crazy money is.
But we don't seem to know that though, right? We just want to be in front of the camera.
A lot of people want to be hams and they want to be seen.
Yes.
For me, I've been there. It is fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
They take good care of you. And, but at some point you have to think of this is show business.
Yes. Don't
forget business. And that's one thing that I try to keep my mind on the business.
Yes. Wow. Now, thank you. But now you talked about a parent and a child. How would you talk to someone, or what would you suggest to someone in terms of how they go about being in the industry if they're like in their 20s, 30s, or 40s? How would you suggest they go about being in the industry?
Easily.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an easy question. This world is so incredible right now with technology, the way things are going.
Yes.
They are so hungry for content, all of these different digital streaming companies. I would tell anybody, hone your craft.
Yes.
If you want to act, I tell people all the time, nothing is like theater. I'm telling you, to do stage theater work.
Yes.
You're out there on that stage. You got to remember so many lines. I was with a play one time, and I thought to myself, you feel like your head's going to explode because you got all these lines in your head.
Yes.
That you have to remember. And Lord help you if you got to break in the song in the middle of this thing.
Yes.
There's so much to it, but
so you would say theater is harder than movie acting?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because all day long. Because a movie, you can say cut, let's back it up. They don't, and that's another thing.
Yes.
You don't want to be on a set jacking up, holding up the production because you can't hold your lines together. That's why, honestly, people don't realize when you're an actor, you become that character. You dig into that character and you kind of immerse yourself in that. And you really become that character temporarily.
Yes.
The point is, and you got to turn it off. After it's over, you got to turn it off and go back to who you are.
Yes.
But to answer your question, if a person's in their late teens or 20s or something, and they want to get involved in entertainment, make sure that you have something to fall back on, your college education or something like that. But learn the trade.
Yes.
Me personally, I shoot. I do photography. I do video editing. I haven't gotten in on the music editing and production yet. I got friends who do that, but you kind of got to learn everything. You got to learn all aspects of the business. I tell anybody young, write your story.
Yes.
Write a show. Get some of your actor friends together and put something together. You never know. That might be the next hot thing on Hulu or Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. Now, don't ever think that you can't.
How important is networking for you and in the industry?
It's very important because you want to keep your ear to the ground. And a lot of times, you want to find out, you really need to network because, see, there's a lot of times there are things happening at the network level that people have no clue about. People might be doing a television show project or something, or some crazy idea.
Yes.
And the network don't want nothing to do with it because they're in a different thing. They're looking at something else. It was just like when reality shows blew in.
Yes.
You couldn't, they didn't want nothing else. They didn't want any other type of show but another reality show.
Yes.
And so now there's so many things happening with digital streaming and all these different other networks, and people are trying to aggregate and pick up so much content. So there's a lot of room out there. But again, you got to know what you're doing. You got to produce content, and you got to produce it for the consumption of the viewers.
Got
so
you.
You give them what they want.
Got you. Wow. Rodney, we're going to have to wrap this up, man. But I could talk to you all evening, and certainly we're going to jump back in this conversation. We want to wish you nothing but success with all of your projects, particularly the autobiography. And we certainly want to collaborate and co-host some of these podcasts together, and we can talk offline to make sure we can make that happen. But this has been a thrill, and I am so excited. This has been my absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast and to have this conversation with the little boy, the handsome guy who could not handle that burger.
Well, the best is yet to come, and I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
If any of your listeners out there, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram.
Yes.
I'm out there. I'm not hard to find. And I do. I get out, I host, I look for, speaking engagements. I've done, commencement ceremonies for graduation and colleges and things like that. So I'm easy to get with. And Kevin, I appreciate the opportunity to be on with you. And God bless you. Godspeed to you, man, and keep doing great podcasts. Man.
Thank you. Well, before we, another personal question. Do you handle all of your business, or you have a PR, you have an agent now?
You know what? Right now, I am, it's almost funny how you answer that. That's a good question. My problem is, well, it's not a problem. I'm actually producing several things, so I don't really have the time to be out.
Gotcha.
I'm actually managing other projects with other people, and I'm developing my own thing. So, rather than to be looking for an acting job, I'm actually producing work.
Got you.
But don't get me wrong. Yes, I am still an actor. I would love my phone to ring and someone say, "Rodney, we got a role for you." I'm like, "What is it?" First of all, you got to know. I'm like, can you tell me what it's about first?
Yes.
you have to get that information, because they will have you doing some strange stuff if they
that you may not want to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Rodney, you have been fantastic. And again, as I said, my brother, wishing you nothing but success. And we're certainly going to have you back on, because this could be like an episode, man. You gave so much information, and your ability to tell a story was so captivating, man. Captivating. Now, your brothers and sisters, your brother and sister, do they help you out at any point in the game now, or they want nothing to do with this industry that you've chosen?
They're not. They got out of the industry a long time ago, but how they help me is just by being encouraging and supportive, and the things, whatever I do, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm trying to do this for the family, and Lord knows that I'm hoping to be able to hit the mother lode somewhere. I hope the mothership comes in, because I just want to bless my family and
absolutely
and my friends and help greenlight other people's projects.
Understood.
That's the type of, I want to be in a position to be able to greenlight stuff for other people, because there's a lot of good content out there, a lot of great ideas that haven't been seen, and I'm digging out my own stuff. I'm really, really digging deep, because I want to produce some great content from, television and feature film and everything else. So I appreciate you, man. And like I said, I will keep you informed.
You know what, man? It's my show. We're gonna take a few more minutes just to rock, because I've got a few more questions I want to ask you, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go with it.
So you said that you want to be able to greenlight some projects. Do you think that the industry is allowing more minority and more people of color to have a directorialship in what they produce and what we see? Do you think that's changing?
Well, the world is changing.
Okay.
And now, instead of it being such a thing where people are producing content and there are people saying, well, I'm not going to let this content go through. People are making inroads because now it's starting to come out that people want to see truth. People want to see honesty. People want to see more creativity. People want to hear more stories.
Yes.
And people are starting to see, man, there's a lot of great content out there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I forgot to tell you, I've also been asked to be in a movie called Bucks of America. You can go on Google and type in Bucks of America, Bucks of America,
yes.
Bucks of America. Sounds like a strange title. People don't realize when America was going up against the British in the Revolutionary War at Bunker Hill, there was a black militia that helped turn the tide at Bunker Hill.
Wow.
And there's a gentleman here, Robert Gatewood, here in Los Angeles, approached me and offered me a role as one of the militiamen in the movie. And so, this is a historical story that's never been told. And people don't know that this is much like the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes.
And so many other great and amazing contributions that African Americans have contributed to in
yes.
life, society, business, so many things, engineering, design. We can go down a whole list of things.
Absolutely.
But people don't know that there was really this militia that helped turn things around for America. So
when do you think we could be seeing that on the screen, on the silver screen?
Well, again, when you start talking about a period piece,
yes.
that's what this is. You're rolling back time. So now period pieces are very expensive because everything has to be realistic.
Yes.
Wardrobe, the way things look. You can't have any freaking telephone poles way, way, way out in the field somewhere because that's what will get you a Razzie in Hollywood. People will go, did you see that? That wasn't from that period, and now people pick your movie apart. So, again, this is a big budget film.
Okay.
And sometimes you don't need all the money. You don't need to have a huge budget. You just need to be mindful about what you're doing. There are ways to make movies. And matter of fact, that's another thing I'd like to encourage your listeners to do. Hey, take your cell phone.
Yes.
Edit, shoot something.
Yes.
There's little simple programs. And you never know. You might put some type of crazy story together with your friends. It could be just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you could put something together that becomes the hottest thing. So don't think it can't happen to you.
Got you. Now do you at your age, do you still have a mentor? Do you have someone that you run stuff past that is still advising you?
At this point, I look at people who are the greats that have been way, way before me. I mean, the ones who laid the foundation down.
Yes.
And you look at these people, the James Earl Joneses of the world, and
yes.
and real incredible character actors like that. There's so much material. You just need to go back and look at that. If you can't be inspired by that, what does it take? But of course, I'm always in negotiation with different people. I'm always listening and learning, and I'm also trying to follow what's happening in the industry and what to roll with and what to stay away from.
Got you. Wow, fantastic, man. All right, listen, we're gonna put a pause on that until we can get together and do some more episodes. But Rodney, again, you have been a treat. Thank you. You are a wonderful storyteller. Thank you, my brother.
Appreciate it. I had a good time with you, Kevin. And man, like I said, we'll do it again.
Absolutely. And let's consider, you and I co-hosting some of these episodes going down the in the path in the future.
Oh, sure. There's a lot of topics that we can cover inside and outside of entertainment, and so hopefully we'll get some time and put it together. The year is young, man. So take care.
Very true. We'll talk to you soon, Rodney. Thank you, my brother.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. We look forward to you joining us for our next one. Until next time.